Hi everyone, I'm doing a 7-day read an article challenge that is important for me in order to improve my brain functionality. And in this challenge that I'm doing, it's a mental challenge in which for 7 days I would read an article each day. In my case, I've chosen scientific articles of topics of my interest. If you want to do such a 7-day read an article challenge, you can choose any kind of articles about any kind of information you're interested in and study them each day and then try to make a presentation out of it in order to figure out how much you understood and how you felt over reading the article. So over the 7 days of workout, I'm hoping to gain more information and I'm hoping to process the information faster, and I hope that this is going to improve my memory function. And at the end of this workout, I actually have a lot of fun in reading these articles, and I have it actually by trying to process the information I have read and making a presentation out of it. So today is the day 5 of my workout. If you do the workout, I hope you enjoy your workout. And after the 7 days of my workout, I will definitely share with you my experience. So let's begin with the day 5th of my workout. For today's challenge, I have chosen a paper that talks about the mobility of photosynthetic proteins, and in this case, they have used a specialized kind of microscopy called AFM microscopy and a specialized version of AFM microscopy. I will provide the link of the paper in the description below, and here is the name of the authors and the author affiliations of the paper. Chloroplast is the main functionary unit that does the photosynthesis, and it is composed of thylakoid membranes, and thylakoid membranes are present either in the stacked grana form or in the unstacked stroma form. And within this thylakoid membrane, there are a bunch of proteins that help in the final formation of ATP, which is the energetic unit, and that is important for metabolic functionality of the plants, and also in formation of byproducts that can help in photoprotection of the plants from high intensity of lights and help the plant with overall functionality. The subunits of the photosynthetic machineries that can be found in the thylakoid membranes are the PS2 or photosystem 2 molecules, along with the cytochrome B6F and the photosystem 1 and the protein that helps in formation of ATP called ATP synthase. Depending upon where they are localized, either in the grana stacks or in the stroma, it depends what kind of photosystem we can see. Mainly in the grana stacks, there is mainly composition of the photosystem 2, in which we also have the combination of light harvesting complex 2, which are the reaction centers for the initiation of photosynthesis. And then we have the cytochrome B6F molecule, and in the stroma region we mainly see the photosystem 1 moieties. In order to facilitate photosynthesis and also to help in photoprotection from higher intensities of lights, the photosynthetic complexes can move around and displace themselves, and this kind of displacement is often referred to as molecular displacement. Uh, this displacement of these complexes have not been studied with higher resolution so far. There are evidences that suggest how the dynamicity is affected under various conditions, but it is really hard to understand or study the dynamicity of the protein complexes that are present in the photosynthetic machinery. In order to do such high spatial temporal resolution studies, it is important that the techniques that are used should fulfill four different criteria. One is that the spatial resolution of the complexes that are being studied can be resolved easily. Otherwise, the location of different complexes can overlap with each other, and then that would hamper the analysis. Secondly, the detection of these different uh, positions of the complexes at different time points should show the original condition that would have been present in the plant under a normal environment, because if there is some kind of invasive method that is applied, that can produce some kind of artifact. The third is that the observation should be in a physiological condition, and the fourth is that there should be time resolution or temporal resolution that could be done in such way that it is high enough in order for the molecular displacement to be detected properly. Now, out of these four conditions, the first two conditions can be done by electron microscopy, and people have studied about it, but again, the resolution is kind of limited because it doesn't fulfill the other two criteria amongst the four conditions. And then there was another study that was done that fulfills the last two criteria of these four criteria that I mentioned, and that was by optical microscopy based on chlorophyll fluorescence. But since there is too much abundance of chlorophyll, sometimes the proper amount of the different photosystems that are present are not properly applicable or analyzed by using this kind of technique. In order to have all these four kind of criteria, atomic force microscopy that has a high specific speed is used. That is because they can give you a high spatial resolution that has been observed just by AFM, and also AFM generally helps in characterizing the structure and organization of thylakoid membrane, and people have used it to see different structures of PS2 and LHC2 organization in presence of light. And this HSFM study that was done in this paper was from the plant spinach, also known as Spinacia oleracea in Latin. So why are we interested in this paper? Because this paper actually shows us about the protein dynamicity that can be observed in presence of light in case of higher plants, and how this molecular displacement happens. And we want to study about this molecular displacement because that gives us a better insight into how the photoregulatory processes can be uh, affected by the molecular displacements. The first experiment dealt with trying to visualize the grana stack that is present, like the particles in the grana stack. And for that experiment, the grana membranes from spinach were isolated, and digitonin was used as a detergent, and that is small grana discs which contained PS2, LHC2, and cytochrome B6F. HSAFM setup was optimized for the grana membranes such that the AFM cantilever would deflect at a wavelength of 830 nanometer in order to minimize any kind of chlorophyll excitation. And then the membranes were scanned at 1 frame per second in the buffer solutions. Uh, if we look at the images over here, we can clearly see that the macro organization of grana membranes and the associated protein structures were well preserved, as you can see from the figure A over here, and you can even see the particles in the figure B. And the grana membranes were packed with dimeric complexes, as you can see in the second figure over here on the right hand side, with an overall density of approximately 1456 particles, and dimeric structures were distributed throughout the membrane, but their structural arrangement that you can see in this image seems to be random. In order to study how the particles were distributed, a distribution probability was plotted based on the height of the particles based from the FM studies, and it was seen that there was a bimodal distribution of the heights of the dimeric structures present, which suggested that there could be two particles that you can see, the PS2 and the cytochrome P6F. In order to identify these particles, immunoplot analysis was done, and as you can see on the right hand side image in the bottom, that there was a positive signal for both PS2 and also for this antibody rest against cytochrome F of cytochrome B6F. There is difficulty in actually distinguishing between PS2 and cytochrome B6F, and that is because their dimensions are pretty similar, especially their lateral sizes are similar, and then their luminal protrusions are also pretty close to each other, which makes it difficult to distinguish between the PS2 and cytochrome B6F using just the AFM. The presence of both of these two complexes were already shown by the bimodal distribution, as you can see in the topmost figure. Also, if you look at the right hand side bottom figure, there is presence of ATPase in the fraction, and that is because digitonin cannot completely disintegrate ATPase, and the main reason why this experiment was done was to capture the image that would have been there in a native situation, and if ATPase was disrupted by using higher concentration of other kind of detergents, it could have hampered the native condition, and the distribution of PS2 and cytochrome B6F might have been altered. So these results demonstrate that HSAFM is a good technique in order to understand or study the different protein complexes that could be present in a spatiotemporal manner without altering the intrinsic macro organization, or at least its spatial resolution ability is clearly shown in these results. In order to study that how these particles of PS2 or cytochrome B6F are present all over the granular membranes, like how their diffusions are happening, and what we can understand from the diffusion pattern, HSFM was done over 60 seconds on a lot of samples, and a total of 19 granadics was used, and the time for which these measurements were done were either 60 seconds or more than that. Based on the protrusions that were observed for each of the time points, the dimeric protrusion for each of the individual molecules were measured, and also the mean square displacement of all of these particles were measured. In order to learn how to really calculate the mean square displacement, I would suggest that if you are reading this paper, please go to the methods section, because there has been a very good discussion on how to actually calculate the displacements, and how to show or make these graphs have been clearly mentioned based on the equations that are used to make these graphs. So based on the mean square displacement of each of the particles, we can know that how much the particles have moved around, and if they are aggregated in one place or if they are moving around freely. So based on this mean square displacement, there was presence of two kind of membrane systems that were observed, based on how much this mean square displacement was overall for those particles that were present there. So on analysis of the different granite discs, it was seen that there was almost 90% of the total granular membranes consisted of dimeric structures that are quasi-static, means like they are partially static, and these kind of membrane systems were called quasi-static membranes. You could see distinct dimeric structures of each particle in this QSM membrane or quasi-static membranes was present after averaging almost like 50 frames of the HSFM images that were present for each of the disks, which indicated that the lateral displacement was confined to a very small region, which is less than 10 nanometers square. So in order to visualize this, if you look at the mean square displacement figures in the figure B, it will be much more understandable. And you can see the original particles in the figure A, as the AFM views the particles in each of the frame. Thus, the displacement could be due to the residual mechanical drift in the HSFM apparatus that was not eliminated by the algorithm. However, this histogram of the MST values that are present over here at 50 seconds show that the distribution of these particles mainly stay around a 4 nanometer square region. If you look at the probability graph that is present in the right hand side of the slide, and that is greater than what would be assumed for the mechanical drift. So most of these particles are kind of like present in a close bound area, and so they actually have more of a static kind of behavior in them rather than a pretty mobile kind of behavior. And the overall dynamic behavior of these complexes reported are actually independent of what you would have seen if it was just a membrane to the substrate interaction that was observed by the AFM. The other kind of mobility that was observed is named variable protein mobility, and this is because it comprises only to a smaller fraction of the granular membranes, like which is only 10% of the total granular membranes, and they had like two kind of population. One was a quasi-static mobility population, most of the particles being clustered together, and the other one was a subpopulation of dimeric structures that would have larger displacements. As you can see from the time-lapse figure in the left-hand side figure in the bottom part of this slide. So the AFM images here show that these dimeric structures are present in two different kind of populations, and since there are two kinds of mobility associated with these particles, one being like a much aggregated or clustered static mobility phase particles versus a more dynamic kind of particles, so that's why it's called a variable protein mobility kind of mobility. The individual MST traces that you can see over here are in the right hand side of the image for the graph MSD versus time. These individual traces of gray color show the variability among the different dimeric structures that were observed throughout time, and the average MSD stress that is shown in the yellow color is of all the observed dimeric structures in the VPM membrane. And this kind of um, mobility was actually fitted with a confined diffusion model as compared to a random Brownian diffusion model, and it kind of fits with a confined diffusion model. Results show that these dimeric structures in the VPM granular membranes still exhibit dynamics that can be explained by a confined diffusion model similar to that of the observed quasi-static mobility group models. The average MST stress of the entire population of the particles in the VPM membranes may underestimate a certain subpopulation, which apparently showed the mobile kind of diffusion, which is also the unconfined diffusion, because of the fitting difference that you can clearly observe in this graph. So generally, if there was a Brownian diffusion, that would be represented by the orange dotted line that you can see in this graph, but the fit was not completely the orange fitted line that you see, but more like the yellow fitted line that is present. So it's somewhere in between the yellow and the orange fittings for the lines, uh, and kind of confirming more towards the yellow fitted line, uh, which means that it could be not properly estimating or kind of considering the fitting parameters for the Brownian diffusion model, and some other kind of model of fitting might be better for fitting this whole range of variable protein mobility that is observed over here. In order to have a better idea of how exactly this diffusion of the individual dimeric structures are happening in the different frames, MST stresses were fitted for each of these individual dimeric structures instead of the average of all of the dimeric structures to either the confined diffusion model or the Brownian motion diffusion model, because otherwise a part of the fitting that was shown in the previous graph might have misrepresented some populations that are present in the variable uh, diffusion model that is present. So now in this individual dimeric structure fitting models, it was seen that 84% of these particles were confined to a small region of approximately 5.8 nanometer, and these particles that are represented by the blue dots in the left hand side figure have a fitting that relates more to the confined diffusion model, as you can see in the right hand side figure, figure D over here, whereas the remaining populations that are shown by the pink dots in the figure C have a larger displacement of approximately 44 nanometer, and they do not fit properly with either the confined diffusion model that you can see in blue or with the Brownian diffusion model that is shown in the magenta color in the figure D. It seems to have a combination of both the confined diffusion model and the Brownian diffusion model. So the VPM kind of mobility allows the coexistence of two kind of populations of the photosystem complexes, one of them being the confined one and the other one being at the verge of escaping very fast and very freely following the Brownian diffusion model. As shown in the macromolecular organization of the GRANA stacks that was observed by the HSAFM, there was a randomness that was observed in the different photosynthetic complexes that were observed by the HSAFM, and this random orientation provided a question that if there was a rotational displacement that was associated with these dimeric structures, and how to analyze them. So for that also HSAFM was able to visualize the rotational displacement of the dimeric structures that are present in the grana. So in the VPM membranes, grana membranes that were used for this experiment, there was the rotational displacement of the dimeric structures observed at an angle, the angle between these particles for two adjacent particles seen within a 1 minute observation period showed that the angle deviation for two particles were approximately 20 to 80 degrees. As you can see in the left hand side figure, figure A, and this change in the angle of rotation over the time in seconds were measured and is depicted in the right hand side figure, figure B. The Rotational diffusion was studied further by calculating a 2D correlation coefficient of variation called CCV of the dimeric structures, and the values were noted for the fluctuations. And the dimeric structures overall fluctuated by a value of 0.65, as you can see by the red trace over in the figure that is present on the left hand side of the slide. By averaging the total time-lapse images, the dimeric morphology kind of disappeared because of the rotational displacement, as you can see by the red trace. In contrast, the other dimeric structure showed an average CCV value of 0.83, and this seemed to stay same over the time-lapse images. So remember that some particles would kind of stay in a specific orient lesser than the other kind of particle that are present close together. So the PS2 LHC2 supercomplexes in GRANA can be organized into a higher order of association. It has been suggested that there are two types of PS2 megacomplexes in which 80% of the supercomplexes show parallel association, whereas other 20% interact in a non-parallel manner with variable association between the two supercomplexes, as you can see even in the graph that shows the height of the particles in case of both of the two kind of particles with variation in the degrees of rotation. The rotational displacement of dimeric structures detected here may indicate that the PS2 LHC2 supercomplexes might associate with their neighbors at slightly different orientations based on the kind of association these particles form with each other. This paper illustrated that how in real-time description the different particles can move around, and the macromolecular organization of the membrane is altered by the environmental fluctuation. Can be studied using the kind of technique called high-speed AFM or HSAFM, and it distinguished between two distinctive class of mobility, the quasi-static mobility and the variable displacement mobility or variable protein mobility called VPM models, and how the different particles that are associated with these mobilities can be fitted with various kind of mobility theories, either with random mobility or with a much more kind of static mobility or confined space mobility models. There was the rotation diffusion of the complexes that were also studied using the HSFM, that kind of showed that individual particles could have different orientation with respect to the adjacent particles, and they could have a completely different set of angles or a completely different kind of uh, alignment with respect to the next particle that is present to it. Overall, this paper actually showed that this photosynthetic membrane proteins are present in the grana membranes in a very heterogeneous fashion. Like, this diffusion is very heterogeneous, and this actually suggests that various environmental cues can be responsible for various different kind of diffusion pattern that would be observed for the photosynthetic membranes in presence of light or in absence of light, that could finally change the kind of architecture that is present for the thylakoid membrane and affect the photoregulation properties of the thylakoid membrane. So overall, I really enjoyed reading this paper. The techniques and the equations that are mentioned in this paper are really important. If you are interested in looking into the mobility of particles in thylakoid membrane, I would definitely suggest reading this paper. And with this, I would end today's presentation. I have finally finished doing till now 5 days of this reading challenge, and here you can see a chart that can actually help you to motivate uh, on reading each article and then clicking off uh, for each of the days that you have read the papers. And I hope that you would also take a read an article challenge for 7 days, and let me know if you take this challenge how it goes. If you like such kind of videos or like such a concept, please put a thumbs up icon. And if you would like to see more such kind of articles or important articles that could be interesting to you, please subscribe to this channel. And thank you for watching this video. Till tomorrow, bye.